Hello, and welcome to Underneath the Hats. I am your host, author, entrepreneur, educator, podcaster, Cherie Simmons. And we are in season 3, and our topic of this season is blessings and lessons, where I share with you self reflections and corrections of things that I've gone through, and also with some of my guests that I've had this season. So, I'm excited about all that we've been able to uncover and learn about blessings and lessons because I am a firm believer in self reflection and that you learn a lot of the lessons from looking back at the decisions that you made. But then there are also blessings, even in the good, the bad, and the ugly. So this week, I actually got my topic from talking to one of my family members. I call him cousin brother. We're second cousins, but his mom was very vocal and influential in my life. She was my great aunt Leo, and she was like a mom to me. And so I call him, he's like a big brother. So we were having a conversation about one of our family members, and um, I decided to name this topic, It's Not the Pot. Stop changing the pot. So he was telling me what had been said about this family member, and all I kept thinking about was a flower pot and how we as people, we tend to think that if I move the problem somewhere else, then that will change the outcome. And so all I kept thinking is so often in our life, we end up saying, oh, if I move from Chicago to Atlanta, then things will be different. I'll find a better job. I'll find love. I will no longer suffer. Oh, if I move from this career path to this career path, then things will be different. And I've realized in the blessings and lessons that I've experienced is that it's not the flower that's the problem. If there's a pot on the table or in the corner of your living room and the plant is dead, if you take that plant out of that pot and put it in a different one, the plant will still be dead. The difference is, did you water the plant? It's not the pot that's causing the plant to die. It's the person responsible for taking care of the plant. And so often we figure if we relocate or if we move to do something different, instead of changing who we are on the inside, then that's going to change the situation. The Bible says faith without works is dead. And so if you think that, oh, if I move over here, things will be different, but you don't do anything while you moving, or once you land, then you're going to get the same outcomes that you were getting in the previous location. So taking a dead plant out of one pot and putting it in the other is not going to change the growth of the plants. The person who was in charge of their plant needs to make some changes to how they took care of the plant in the first place that caused it to die. Did you water it? Did it get enough sun? Did you talk to it? They say you can talk to plants and that helps them grow too. So, what were you doing that caused this plant to die? Because it wasn't the pot, it was the pot person putting it in the pot that caused the plant to die. So, that was definitely a message that resonated with me because so often I in my life have figured, oh, if I go over here, things will be different. Oh, if I move and do this, things will be different. Oh, if I jump from this and do that, I'll get a different outcome. There's a saying that says insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. Just like taking that dead flower out of that pot and putting it in another one, and you do nothing to help bring the plant back to life. It's still a dead plant in another pot. That's insanity. So I have learned in these 39 years that one of the blessings I've learned from changing what I do instead of changing the pot, one blessing that I can really think of that resonates with me is going to therapy. I realize, especially in this new relationship that I'm in, if you look at each of my major relationships, I can see the growth from one to the next to this current one because of the growth that I made within myself. I had someone tell me recently when I was telling them about my new boo, that I said the same thing about him that I said about the other two. And I had to tell that person, with the first one, I was young and naive. With the second one, I was broken from the first one. With this third one, I'm healed and whole, and I have a different relationship with God. And so my insights and perspective is different. And so I can imagine myself as that plant in that pot. I was a new, fresh seedling in this pot, that first marriage. And as I grew and was getting watered by some toxic water and not getting enough sunlight because I was dimming my light for the person that I was with. Oh, Lord, that's a message right there. I started to die. And instead of getting the healing that I needed or getting enough healing in between the first one and the second one, I was healing. The seedlings were starting to get a little green, but there was still some weeds and some dead parts of that plant. And then I ended up getting married a second time, and I wasn't fully healed, and he couldn't give me the nourishment that I needed. And so I ended up breaking away from him and getting all of my nutrients from the Father. And I began to continue to get the healing that I needed from therapy and the healing that I needed from my relationship with God. And so now that I've broken from that pot, I'm now with a new person who our relationship is different. I don't need the same things that I needed. He nourishes me differently than the other two did. And so I didn't have to change the pot. I just had to change the way that I saw myself as that plant, the way that I took care of myself, that I poured into myself. I was careful about the type of people I had around me, the water and the wisdom and the words that I let sprinkle on me like water. I was careful about the people that I allowed to sow into me, which was the nourishment that I needed to make me grow. It wasn't the pot. It was what I was allowing to seep into my soil and into my roots in order to make me grow into the person that I needed to be. And so now, from the second marriage to this relationship, I've gotten more healing. I've gotten a better relationship with God. And so now this pot is strong, or this plant is strong, that I'm buzzing out the pot. So I don't need the pot to be changed. I needed to change the plant that was growing inside of it. And so my blessing was having therapy and building a better relationship with God so that I could know that I was enough. That first pot, I didn't know I was enough. That second pot, I was starting to realize it. And that's the one thing about that second pot. He made me feel like I was it. Like the words of encouragement and the honey, you're great. And I was getting all that. So he was nourishing me, but I still knew that it was something that I was missing. And so when I moved away from that second pot, now I'm in this third one, and everything that I've been yearning for, I'm getting. But it's not just coming from him. It's because I love myself more now. And I'm nourishing myself now. And I'm surrounding myself with people who are nourishing me and watering me and taking care of me and talking to me and sowing into me. So it wasn't the pot. It was what I was allowing inside of the pot, inside of the soil, inside of my roots, inside of the stems, inside of the leaves. It was what I was allowing to come in. And so the lesson in all of this is that you have to work on yourself. Stop thinking that running away from the problem is going to change the problem. It is not going to change. If the problem is in you, you can move to Timbuktu and the problem will still be there. It's like having a flat tire on the car. I can move that car from 47th King Drive to 53rd King Drive. If I don't change that tire, it's going to follow me from 47th King Drive to 53rd King Drive. It has nothing to do with the package. It has to do with what is on the inside of the package. And faith without works is dead. You are not going to get a different result if you're still doing the same things that you were doing before, or if you do nothing at all to make it better. We have to work on ourselves. We have to be careful about the people we let pour into us. Choose your water wisely. Because some people say, and I hate this saying because it's so false, blood is thicker than water. Which we have interpreted it to mean that your family is stronger or better for you than outside people, i.e. water. But let me tell you something. I would rather have toxic poisoned water than poisoned blood. Blood circulates throughout the body continuously. Water at least comes out. So I can at least get rid of the water through sweat, urination, but it's hard to get rid of that blood if it's toxic. So I would rather deal with poisonous water any day versus poisonous blood. And so you have to be mindful of the people that you let pour into you, that you let rain on you. You also have to be mindful of the people that you let sow into you, into your soil, give you your nourishment. The people who speak over you all the time, be it your pastor, your parents, your friends, your mentors. What are they saying to you? Things you watch, things you hear. What are you putting inside of you? Because that has a lot to do with the plants and whether it flourishes or whether it dies. So it's not the pot. If anything, you should be so nourished from the rain and the sun and the water and the food that you bust out that pot. There are some plants that grow too big for their pot. So it's not about the pot. It's about what's inside the pot. And the only person that controls what's inside is you. You control it. You set the boundaries. You decide who can and cannot come into your life, who can and cannot sow into you, who can and cannot give you words of encouragement. You set the boundaries. You decide that. Nobody else does. And so stop changing the pot. Stop moving from one place to the next thinking if I keep hopping like Peter Bunny Rabbit, that things are going to change. No, you're still going to be a bunny rabbit with problems until you change you. So I hope that this has helped somebody because it has definitely helped me in the past. I'm not telling you anything that I myself have not personally gone through because I'm a firm believer and that is that one person's testimony is another person's breakthrough. Something someone says helps everybody. There is somebody out there that has been through what you have been through who has overcome it. And all we have to do is share our testimonies to help one person. All it takes is one. So I hope that you have been encouraged today to not be so quick to change the pot, but to change the plant, which is you. And be mindful of who you allow to rain on you, nourish you, provide you with sun, because that can affect the growth inside that pot. So I pray that you subscribe and like to this YouTube channel. Underneath the Hat Podcast. Check us out on all podcast platforms. We're on Anchor, Overcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, and Pocket Cast. Also, make sure you share the video. There may be someone you know who needs to hear this. Go ahead and share it with them. We're all about blessings and lessons. You can learn something from everything. Everything we go through, there's a lesson and there's a blessing. Now, the blessing might not be what you want it to be. It may be get away from that man or that woman. But eventually, you're going to realize it was a blessing because you didn't need to be there in the first place. And there's a lesson in everything we do. So make sure you please share it. Also, check out my 2 books. If you go to Amazon.com and type in my name, Cherie Simmons, which is on the screen, my 2 books will pop up underneath the hat. And it's that size for a reason. Check them out. They're great reads. They tell my life stories so far. Again, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in and supporting me and being here to hear what I had to say. I pray that what I have said has touched someone and helped someone to go a little bit further and realize that you're not alone and that it's possible and that the sun is on the other side. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, remember to take care of yourself underneath the hat. I will see you next week.